Hello, everybody. Before we continue, it's important to understand that materials are completely unique to each character. Anything I do here is unlikely to apply directly to your own character without some modification. Materials and textures are an entire field of their own. Depending on the character, they can be extremely simple or incredibly complex. Covering materials properly would require an entire series by itself, and that's outside the scope of these tutorials. This particular character uses a fairly advanced material setup, contains channel-packed masks, layered details, textures, and custom shading workflows that were originally designed for high-quality animation renders rather than real-time game engines. While it's good-looking setup, understanding every part of it isn't necessary for creating a functional character mod. Because of that, I'm only going to cover the basics needed to get a character working and looking good in Engine. I'm not avoiding the topic because it's impossible or unimportant. There are simply other creators who specialize in materials and shaders and can teach those subjects far better than I can. For most creators, my recommendation is to use the Poyomi shaders. Poyomi is widely used throughout the VR chat community, has extensive documentation, and includes enormous amount of features while still being approachable for beginners. Despite being known primarily as a toon shader, it works perfectly well for non-toon characters and realistic styles. It's also the shader system I personally prefer. I've already done the work required to make it functional on Quest, even though it cannot in VR chat. It makes it a practical choice both for PC and Quest focused character mods. For the purpose of this series, we'll focus on getting materials working correctly and establishing a solid foundation. Once you're comfortable with the workflow, you can explore more advanced material techniques through the many Poyomi tutorials and resources available online. I'll link a tutorial for Poyomi in the description if you wish to learn more. But for the rest of the tutorial, I'll show you the very basics of hooking up textures using the standard shader. At the very end, I'll show you how to install and get started with Poyomi. To get started learning about textures and materials and how to hook everything up, we're first going to open up our prefab by finding our prefab, double clicking on it. And as you see, we have all these game objects over here on our left, and each one of these things is going to have either a shared material or a new material in each one. You can find out what that is by clicking on the game object, going over to the skin to mesh renderer component, and see what materials it might have. This one has 3. We're just going to go ahead and click on the skin. Widowmaker skin has popped up down here, and we're going to click on it. That is our material. To make sure this window doesn't go anywhere, we're just going to press this little lock icon up here at the top right, make sure it's locked. So that way, as we click on different things, this material stays put. Now we have albedo, otherwise known as diffuse or color, and this will allow us to drive the main color effect. So we know that this is probably going to use something along the lines of body, and here you can see all these different maps, and this one looks like it's got some color, and you can tell it's probably color because it ends with D, probably for diffuse. So we're just going to drag that into our albedo box right here on the left. And as you see, it has started updating some of the color. What we'll probably hook up is just the normal map, occlusion, and albedo map. And we're going to find those. Here is AO, which it also stands for occlusion. Put that in. Find the body normal, which ends in that. And now, as you put a normal map, you want to make sure that if there's a window that pops up, it might tell you that there's something wrong and a button that says fix now. Press the fix now button. That's perfectly fine. There is some emission on this character. We're not really going to go into that, but that part is right here. When you press emission, it'll give you a color option right there. But we're now going to move on to another part of the body. So we're going to unlock that one. And let's say we'll do actual body now. We'll lock that one. I happen to know that this uses the exact same setup. Widow body normal goes to normal map. We want to use the diffuse for the albedo, and we want to use the AO for the occlusion. And nothing seemingly has occurred, and it's because this texture material already had emission enabled from the import process. If we click it off, the color will come back. So So if materials aren't changing for you, you might want to just make sure your materials have emission checked off. So the next big thing is the boots. Let's go find those and do the exact same thing. Dock it. Body normal. Body AO. Body D. Now I know that the wrist arm gear is Widowmaker gear. Oh, I just changed something. Dock it. I also know that's the exact same diffuse, normal, and AO. Next thing we'll do is do the hair. No, that one is a different diffuse map. I know that one has a bit of a different setup for the rest of the material, and so I'm just going to leave it like that. Now, the visor. I believe uses the same albedo, normal, and occlusion. Now we will do visor lens. Now this one we might do a little bit differently. This one has a different setup. So what we could do is just screw around with it if we wanted to. Just to give it the effect. Moving on from that material, we have nails, mouth, and eyes. Click on those eyes, those peepers. Go to the material, lock. Eyes, albedo. Just for the sake of it, we'll bump the metallic up just to give it some shine. Not that much. Eyes, normal, matte. And that's probably good enough. Now we have eyebrow shadow, and we're just going to disable that game object entirely because that will just add complications to rendering. That's a very much animation and cinematic type of material. Now the eyebrows, let's see. If you're ever lost on a material and not sure what texture should go to it or what's involved, you can always use the source file to kind of get an idea of what might happen, like how to get to that goal. We know that we want the eyebrows or eyelashes. It looks like they share the same material. And what texture do they use? They use widow hair, and that is it seems. And that one is just the alpha for that. So we'll make our lashes. That's what it was. Two. Oh, lost my material. That is why we lock it. Lock. Nope, wrong thing. Lock. I'm just gonna leave it like that, I think. Yeah, And then we have nails, which I believe uses the same body texture setup. I believe it just has some shininess to it extra. And now for the tongue. Uses probably the exact same setup. Drag in color. Drag in AO. Normal. And I believe the teeth have their own material. Normal map. Color map. AO map. Yep. And just like that, we have a very, very basic texture setup. We will notice the difference between this version and this version is that there's a lot of missing things. This has a lot of moving parts for these types of setups with the skin and the body, with texture and detail maps that are layered on top of each other. And these same exact results are achievable in Unity, just not with the standard shader. So those require your own research and experimentation, but you can get a very similar looking result with the standard material right here. And if we want to learn how to take this perhaps to the next level and start using Poyomi for some additional features, what we're going to do here is we're going to go to Google, search up Poyomi, just like this, Poyomi Shaders Home, and eventually you find their GitHub page either from Google or from their website, GitHub. Go to this little button right here, code, download zip. You're going to download this to your resources in your SmutLabs folder. Just go ahead and download it there. And what we'll do is go to SmutLabs, go to that compressed folder, right click, extract all, and just extract it. Now, I already have it, so I'm just going to go ahead and just skip. Now, the way we're going to use this now is come back to Unity, go to Window, Package Manager, install package from disk. Go to your SmutLabs folder, go to where you unpacked it, and find the package.json, open that, and it will install. It might take you a while to install this. Once it's done, what we can do to start using this shader is we find a material we want to use it on. We're going to do it on, let's say, the body. Lock the inspector. Come up to here where it says shader standard, and you'll see Poyomi. Poyomi, just use Poyomi Tune, and nothing's really changed off the bat. But what we can do is start utilizing some of these features. Let's see here. We're going to go to detail normals and texture. Detail normal. I had previously set this up, so some of the settings have remained. I'm gonna go ahead and grab detail A and just put that detail A normal and put that in the detail normal, and it will start mimicking the same effect. You have to punch in the same exact settings, like for the body. You'll notice that it has a high scale of 300 or 425 to get this effect to tile that small. And so that's what you also have to do here for tiling. You have to reverse engineer some of these effects, and it's can be advanced, but it can give you a whole new um, layer to these materials and effects. The skin, we can see what we can do. Turn this to a Poyomi shader, Poyomi tune. You can add subsurface scattering effects to it. You can also add matte caps to change how it renders. Actually, we're not going to do that now. I've not prepared anything about that. Let's see here. We can add rim lighting to drive some certain styles. But there's hundreds of different options, and it's a wonderful shader as a whole. I highly suggest utilizing it. I've included a link in the description on some tutorials to take your materials to the next level. But I think this concludes our tutorial.